My parents stole 95% of my savings to buy my sister a house, so I laughed and lawyered up. Hi, I'm Liam. I'm 28. And last month, my parents told me they spent 95% of my life savings to buy my sister a house. My sister laughed. You don't have a single penny left, she said, like it was some twisted joke. I stared at her, then burst out laughing, not because it was funny, but because they had no idea what those savings actually were. That dinner was supposed to be normal. Just a regular Sunday, Mom's roast in the oven, Dad opening a bottle of red, my older sister Kristen scrolling through her phone while her husband Brandon contributed absolutely nothing to the conversation. Standard stuff. I should have known something was off when Mom kept fussing with the napkins. She only does that when she's about to drop a bomb. So, sweetheart, she said, we need to talk about something important. My stomach tightened. Those words never mean anything good. Dad cleared his throat. Kristen and Brandon found their dream home. Willow Creek, near the country club. 5 bedrooms. Big backyard. Great for the kids they're planning. I nodded. That's awesome. Congrats. Kristen flashed that smug little smile that's always halfway to a smirk. Thanks, little brother. It's been a process, but we finally made it. Then came Mom's carefully softened voice. The down payment was a bit more than they'd saved. I paused mid-chew. Okay. Dad wouldn't look at me. We used your savings account. The one we've been managing since you were 16. I blinked. How much? 95%. Mom said quickly, like speed would make it sound better. But you're only 28. Plenty of time to save again. Kristen's 31. Her biological clock. My roast turned to dust in my mouth. That account, they were talking about the one I started as a teenager. Birthday money, summer jobs, scholarship leftovers, everything. You spent my money without asking? Dad finally looked at me. We're your parents. That account's under our names. We're the custodians. Kristen leaned back, flipping her hair. Don't be dramatic, Liam. You'll bounce back. You always do. Besides, what were you saving for? It's not like you've got a ring in your pocket or anything. Brandon chuckled. And I laughed. Not a polite little snort. A full, from the gut, hysterical laugh that made my mother's face go pale. Why are you laughing? Kristen snapped. I wiped tears from my eyes. Because the account you emptied? I've been deliberately keeping only about 15 grand in there for years. The real savings? You never even touched. Silence. The kind you can taste. Dad's jaw tightened. What do you mean other accounts? I mean, I'm not an idiot. You've been playing favorites since we were kids. When Kristen wanted a car, she got a new Honda. I got a lecture about budgeting and bought a 12-year-old Toyota with my own money. When she studied abroad, you paid for it. When I wanted a summer program in New York, suddenly the funds weren't there. I saw the pattern. Mom's wine glass trembled in her hand. That's not fair. We love you both. Maybe. But you've never treated us equally. I looked straight at them. So when I got my first job out of college, I opened accounts you don't know about. High-yield savings. Investment portfolios. A Roth IRA. You raided a decoy account. Kristen's voice rose. You're lying. Check my room. You won't find a single paper statement. It's all digital. I learned early not to leave anything important where this family could find it. Brandon scoffed. So how much do you actually have? None of your business. I said sweetly. But significantly more than what you just stole. I pushed back from the table and picked up my napkin. That money? Keep it. Call it the price of clarity. Dad stood. Now wait a minute. I'll have my lawyer call you in the morning. Kenneth Morrison. Look him up. Mom's voice cracked. You have a lawyer? For situations like this. To protect myself, from family. And I walked out. I didn't go home right away. I drove around for an hour with my hands shaking on the wheel and my phone buzzing nonstop in the passenger seat. Missed calls. Voicemails. Kristen, Mom, Dad. Over and over again. I finally pulled into my apartment parking lot and just sat there, staring out the windshield at nothing. When I got inside, I poured a glass of wine, opened my laptop, and logged into the accounts they didn't know existed. My Meridian Bank high-yield savings, $83,000. Brokerage, $45,000. Roth IRA, steadily climbing. Every penny carefully tucked away while my parents and sister assumed I was broke, Because I never asked them for anything. Because I knew better. I sat in the quiet of my living room, phone still buzzing. A new text came through, from Kristen. Mom is crying. Are you happy now? I stared at it. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I typed back. I'm not happy. I'm just done. Another one, a few minutes later. You're always so selfish. This is typical Liam, making everything about yourself. The irony was almost poetic. I blocked her number. Over the next few days, it didn't stop. Voicemails from Mom that shifted from weepy to scolding to guilt-laced pleading. Emails from Dad talking about rebuilding as a family. Even Brandon texted once, just to say, it wasn't a big deal. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I contacted my attorney, Kenneth Morrison, a straight-shooting guy I'd retained the moment I hit my first big investment milestone. I told him everything. He reviewed the documents and confirmed, technically, my parents had legal access to the account. But we can make their lives very uncomfortable if you want to press it. Court of public opinion wouldn't look kindly on parents raiding their sons' savings to fund their daughter's lifestyle. I didn't want that. Not yet. I want them legally barred from ever touching anything of mine again. Can we do that? Absolutely. Within 10 days, my parents received formal legal notice. Any future access to my financials would be considered theft. They were ordered to remove themselves as custodians from the decoy account and transfer the remaining funds, what little was left, into one under my name only. Dad called from a blocked number to get around my filters. A lawyer, Liam? Seriously? You're threatening your own parents? You stole from me. What did you expect? That's not stealing. We had access. It was for your sister's future. Without my permission. That's theft, Dad. You can dress it up however you want. When did you get so cold? That one made me pause. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I got this way after years of watching you give everything to Kristen while telling me I'd understand someday. I do now. I understand perfectly. He hung up. 3 weeks after that dinner, Kristen showed up at my office. Security called up. I almost told them to turn her away, but curiosity won. She looked tired. No makeup. No designer bag. Just her, holding a manila envelope like it might save her. We need to talk, she said. I led her into a small conference room. She sat down across from me like she was shrinking. I wanted to apologize, she said, eyes not quite meeting mine. I was awful that night. What I said. I was angry. Honest though, right? I asked. You meant every word. You thought I was broke. You thought I was pathetic. She flinched. I didn't know they were going to take that much. I didn't ask them to. But you benefited from it. And then you laughed in my face. Kristen looked down at her hands. We're struggling now. The mortgage is more than we thought. The HOA fees are brutal. And Brandon's dad, when he found out where the down payment came from, he flipped. Called it spoiled. Now he won't talk to us. I didn't say anything. So now you feel bad? I asked. I do. No, you feel bad about the consequences. That's not the same thing. I stood up. We're done here. Go home to your husband. Figure out your finances. But don't come looking for me to fix what you broke. Kristen's voice cracked as I opened the door. You can't mean that. We're family. No. We're blood. That's not the same thing. And I walked out, leaving her behind, this time for good. The next person to call me wasn't my mother. It was my Aunt Lorraine. My mom's older sister. The one who always spoke like she was allergic to sugarcoating. I heard what happened, she said. No preamble. No pleasantries. And I told your mother she's a damn fool. That was enough to make me smile for the first time in days. Thanks, I said, unsure what else to offer. I mean it, Liam. I've been watching them bend over backwards for Kristen since she was a teenager. Always one more excuse, one more bailout, one more favor. And meanwhile you were expected to just suck it up. Be the good son. It made me sick. Hearing someone say it out loud, especially her, did something to me. Unclenched a knot in my chest I hadn't even known was there. She called me crying. Aunt Lorraine went on. Said she didn't understand why you're cutting them off. I told her, because you treated his savings like a family trust fund for your favorite child. I laughed, short and bitter. She didn't want to hear it, did she? Nope. Still doesn't. But I'm proud of you. That part caught me off guard. I'm proud of you, she repeated. For seeing it, for naming it, and for doing something about it. That's strength, Liam. You've been the strong one your whole life because nobody else stepped up to be strong for you. I didn't cry when Kristen stole from me. Not when my parents lied. Not when Brandon smirked across the table like he was entitled to what I'd earned. But I cried on that call. Like a dam cracked and everything finally spilled out. Years of swallowing resentment. Of telling myself it wasn't that bad. Of pretending it didn't hurt when they handed Kristen the world and told me to. Just be grateful. I'm tired of being strong, I whispered. I know, sweetheart, she said, her voice soft now. That's why I'm here. You don't have to do it alone anymore. We talked for an hour. About my mom's blind spots, about the patterns that got passed down from my grandparents, about what it meant to grieve a family that never really saw you. It was the most honest conversation I'd ever had with anyone in my bloodline. After that, I buried myself in work. Late nights, quiet weekends, projects that kept my mind moving so I didn't have to sit with all the feelings still rattling around. One night, my coworker Monica found me at my desk well past 8 p.m. You okay? She asked. Family stuff, I said. The kind that makes you avoid going home? I nodded. She sat on the edge of my desk. My brother drained my college fund when I was 24. Took everything. We didn't talk for 5 years. I blinked. Did you forgive him? Eventually. After he hit rock bottom and did the work. But even now, it's not the same. It never is. She paused. You know, she said, the betrayal isn't just about the money. It's what the stealing says. That they saw you not as a person, but as a resource. Something to use. That landed like a punch I hadn't braced for. They didn't just take my savings. They took my autonomy. They looked at what I had earned and thought, this is mine now. And when I got angry, I was the one being difficult. That realization changed something fundamental in me. I wasn't just done with them financially. I was done being their scapegoat. Their backup plan. Their second choice son. They could call it whatever they wanted. I called it freedom. The promotion came 3 months after the fallout, but it felt like more than a career win. It felt like proof. My manager, Patricia, called me into her office after a major project I'd led, a data analysis overhaul for a national retail chain, had helped save the client over $2 million in projected costs. You crushed it, Liam, she said. They specifically named you in their feedback. I muttered something about the team, but she waved it off. Don't deflect. I'm recommending you for senior analyst. Comes with a nice raise and you'll be leading your own team. I nodded, stunned. Thank you. As I left her office, I felt something I hadn't in months solid. Like I was on my own 2 feet for real this time. Not just surviving, thriving. While my family saw me as someone they could rob blind and mock, my work saw me as essential. That night, I took myself out to dinner. Just me. A quiet table in the corner of a nice Italian place I'd always walked past but never tried. I ordered a glass of wine and a ridiculous pasta dish, and when it came, I raised my glass. To me, I whispered. To the guy they underestimated. Halfway through the meal, I got a text from an unknown number. Liam, it's Kristen. I got your new number from Aunt Lorraine. Please don't be mad at her. I need to say something. I almost didn't read the rest. But something made me scroll. The house Brandon and I bought, it's a nightmare. We're behind on payments. Property taxes are killing us. And Mom and Dad won't help anymore. I don't know what you said to them, but they've changed. Brandon's furious. This is ruining our marriage. I hope you're satisfied. I stared at the screen, half laughing, half seething. Even now, she was blaming me. Not herself for spending stolen money. Not our parents for taking it. But me. For having the nerve to protect what was mine. I typed, deleted. Typed again. Then I settled on the only thing that felt right. Lose this number. Blocked her. Called Aunt Lorraine. I swear, Liam, she said the second she picked up. I didn't give her your contact. She saw it on my phone and memorized it while I was cooking. It's fine. I blocked her. She says your parents won't help them with the mortgage anymore. That true? It is, Lorraine said. Your dad actually put his foot down. Said they've enabled Kristen enough, and it's time she learns to manage her own messes. I almost dropped the phone. He what? I know. Shocking, right? Evelyn wanted to step in. He told her, flat out, that she'd only be making it worse. I sat in stunned silence for a moment, then let out a laugh that came from someplace deep. Yes, people really can change. Sometimes, she said. But whether they do or not, you don't owe them a front row seat to your life. She paused. How are you doing, really? Underneath it all. The question hit me harder than I expected. Because honestly, no one had asked? Not really. I don't know, I said. Some days I'm furious. Some days I'm numb. And then some days, I just feel free. That's grief, she said. You're grieving the family you deserved. And the version of them you'll probably never get. I swallowed hard. Is that normal? Absolutely. We talked another hour. She didn't fix it. She didn't try to. But for the first time, I felt understood. When we hung up, I stood on my tiny apartment balcony and let the cold air bite my face. I wasn't broken. I wasn't bitter. I was just beginning. I started therapy in November. A friend of mine, Monica, from work, slipped me a card after I stayed late for the third night in a row, pretending to care about pie charts. Dr. Harlow, she said. Family trauma specialist. Book a session. Trust me. I didn't even argue. I was tired of running from the guilt I didn't understand. Tired of feeling like maybe I was the one who overreacted. So I booked an appointment. Our first session, I told her everything. Kristen. The stolen savings. The years of being second. The dinner. The fallout. All of it. When I finished, she leaned forward, hands folded calmly. What do you want from therapy, Liam? I didn't even hesitate. I want to stop feeling guilty for protecting myself. She nodded. Good goal. Let's start here. If a friend told you this story, word for word, what would you say to them? I scoffed. That they were justified. That their family betrayed them. That they were brave for walking away. But you can't say that to yourself. Apparently not. She smiled. That's what we'll work on then. Learning to give yourself the same compassion you give everyone else. Week by week, we unpack things I buried for years. How Kristen was the golden child. How I was the fallback. How every family event, every decision, came with strings tied tightly around her needs and my silence. I learned about enmeshment. Parentification. Favoritism cycles. Things I'd felt but never had the language for. One day, she asked me, Do you want a relationship with them? Your parents? I sat in that silence a long time. I don't think so, I said finally. Not unless they change. Not unless it actually means something. That's fair, she said. But even if they never do, you still get to be okay. It landed like a small truth detonating in a quiet room. I still get to be okay. By December, I changed my phone number. Gave it only to people I actually wanted to hear from. No holiday drama. No guilt-laced invitations. Just peace. Christmas Eve, I volunteered at a soup kitchen. Served dinner. Cleaned tables. Drove home alone and felt calm. Not lonely. Not angry. Just calm. In January, I got another raise. Promotion to lead analyst. My savings officially crossed 6 figures. I started looking at condos, not because I needed to move, but because I could. That night, I walked through an open house in a quiet neighborhood, sunlight streaming in across hardwood floors, and I imagined a life built on my terms. No debt. No guilt. No rescue missions. When I left, I got in my car, leaned back in the seat, and whispered to myself, I'm proud of you. No one else had said it yet. But I had. And maybe that was enough for now. The letter from my father came in February. Not an email. Not a text. A real, handwritten letter in an envelope with my name on the front in his careful, blocky handwriting. I stared at it for a full 10 minutes before I opened it. Part of me didn't want to. Part of me wanted to believe it was another guilt trip wrapped in nostalgia. But something about it felt different. Inside, a single page. Just this. Dear Liam. I've started this letter about 10 times and thrown each version away. Your mother thinks it's a waste of time, that you've made your position clear. But I'm your father. And I need to say this, even if you never answer. You were right. About all of it. I've spent the last 6 months going through old bank records. Looking at every decision we made regarding you and Kristen. The evidence is, well, it's not flattering. It's painful, honestly. Because I see it now. We bought her a car. Paid for study abroad. Covered credit card debt. Helped with the wedding. The honeymoon. The house. Meanwhile, for you? A used laptop for graduation. A pat on the back. I told myself we were helping Kristen because she needed it more. That you were fine. That you didn't need as much. But that wasn't the truth. You were just easier to take for granted. We didn't make you strong, Liam. You were strong in spite of us, not because of us. Taking your savings, that was the last straw. I get it. I wouldn't forgive me either. I'm not writing for forgiveness. I just need you to know that I see it now. That I regret it. Your mother, she still thinks it's about money. She doesn't get that it was never just about the 15 grand. It was about trust. Respect. Love. Kristen and Brandon are struggling. They're behind on bills. Part of me wants to help. The other part knows that if I do, I'll lose whatever small chance I have of earning back your respect. So I'm not helping them. It hurts. But maybe that means it's the right thing. You don't have to reply. Just live your life. And know that at least one person in your family finally sees what you've been carrying all these years. Love. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then a 4th. I didn't cry. Not right away. It was a different kind of feeling, like something heavy shifting inside me, just slightly, letting a little light through. I didn't call him. Didn't text. Didn't even email. But I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer with my important documents, and whispered to no one. Thank you for seeing me. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe, just maybe, it was the start of something else. Spring came early that year, like the world was ready to move on before I was. I met someone, Anna. A UX designer I'd crossed paths with at a tech meetup. She didn't know anything about my family drama, and I liked it that way. We talked about books, travel, the weird food combinations we liked as kids. When I finally told her the story, she didn't flinch. She just said, "That must have hurt. But I'm glad you protected yourself." Around the same time, I found a condo I loved, nothing huge, just mine. Hardwood floors. A little balcony. Quiet. I bought it without calling anyone for advice. No group texts. No family opinions. Just me. One morning, as I was unpacking a box of mugs, I found an old envelope. Inside? That last $15 Starbucks gift card my parents gave me at graduation. I laughed. I pinned it to my fridge like a trophy. Not as a reminder of what they failed to give, but of what I gave myself instead. The foreclosure hit in June. Aunt Lorraine called me, her voice flat but unsurprised. Kristen and Brandon lost the house. Bank took it back. They're moving into a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Brandon's parents helped with the deposit. I sat on my condo balcony, sipping coffee, watching the city wake up. And Mom and Dad? They're staying out of it. Your dad meant what he said. I nodded, even though she couldn't see. How's Kristen taking it? Blaming everyone but herself. Mostly you. Of course. But for once, I didn't feel pulled to fix it. I didn't feel angry either. Just done. Like I'd finally closed a chapter that had been stuck open my whole life. A week later, I got a package. Inside was a check for $15,000. And a letter. It was from Kristen. She wrote that she was working 2 jobs, going to therapy, and finally understood. That taking my money was wrong. That she didn't expect forgiveness, just wanted me to know she was trying. I held the letter in one hand, the check in the other. Maybe this was what growth looked like. Ugly, hard, but honest. I deposited the check. Not out of spite. Not to test her. Just because it was mine. I wrote back a short letter. Kristen, thank you. I'm not ready for a relationship, but I see the effort. That matters. I don't hate you. I just needed space to heal. Maybe someday, we can try again, but not yet. No promises. No drama. Just truth. In the months that followed, I kept building. My work. My life. My peace. I stopped waiting for apologies wrapped in guilt or affection laced with control. What I had now was quiet, clean, and fully mine. And that was enough. Fall rolled in with that crisp, golden air that makes you believe in second chances. I stood on the balcony of my condo, coffee in hand, watching the city move below. No chaos. No drama. Just peace. Thanksgiving, I didn't go home. Instead, I hosted a dinner with friends, people who chose me, not just shared DNA. We laughed, told stories, and raised glasses to found families. Later that night, I got a text from Dad. "Happy Thanksgiving, Liam. Wherever you are, I hope you're well. We miss you." I stared at it for a long time. Then replied, "I'm well. Thank you." No promises. No doors swinging wide open. Just a light left on. Kristen never replied to my letter. And that was okay. Some bridges stayed burned. Others just take longer to rebuild. But me? I kept walking forward. With savings in the bank. With peace in my chest. With a life I built, not to prove them wrong, but to finally prove to myself I was right to leave. And I was.